Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Danielle, and today I want to share with you all my witchy autobiography, if you will, how I became a witch. Hopefully, the lighting and everything is fine. I can barely see myself up under this umbrella. I'm at the beach. We fishing. So, how I became a witch. Well, honestly, I've always been drawn to this path, and didn't necessarily know what it was called maybe at the time, and I was certainly fearful of it because I was raised Christian, raised Southern Baptist, slash holiness, um, both progressive and old fashioned. My daddy's church was the old fashioned type holiness church where the women aren't allowed to wear pants and they wear that little doily on top of their head, and that plucked my nerves, so I could never resonate with that. The only thing that I did like about that church was the pastor, to me, in my opinion, was a true man of the cloth. He did not get paid to preach. He had a job. He didn't get a check like a lot of these pastors do for preaching. Once a month they would just take up a love offering. You gave what you gave, and that's all the money he ever got for preaching. He did it because it was what he was called to do. He didn't get paid. So that was the one thing I did like about that church, but it was just a little too old fashioned for me. I like to wear pantsuits. I wasn't gonna wear dresses and skirts and stuff all the time. All the time. They didn't own pants. So my mother's holiness church, though, was more progressive. You wear what you want, no doilies on top of the head. And then Baptist, the church, well, I didn't end up joining it, but the church growing up that resonated the most with me was a non-denomination church. But I digress. Basically, I was raised Christian. But around 9 years old, so I was raised Christian, but all my life and to this day I've always been drawn to the mythical, the mystical, supernatural things, ghost stories, mysteries, that sort of thing, sci-fi, fantasy, that kind of stuff, fairy tales, folklore, urban legends, all of those things I've always resonated with. So around 9 years old, I think it's starting to hurt. Around 9 years old, I took my first step on this path through divination. I had picked up a booklet on different divination techniques, divining with playing cards, divining with runes, and some other techniques. Those were the only two that stood out to me and the only two I practiced. I went out and would find rocks and find the ones that called to me, and then I painted the rune symbols on them with fingernail polish, and that was my little set of runes. But I resonated with the playing cards more because it was practical and it was less conspicuous than throwing rocks all over the place. Like, what's that? And what are those symbols? So, it's a deck of playing cards. I look like I'm playing solitaire, some shit, but I'm doing readings. So I was about 9 years old. I know I was in elementary school, but I don't remember my exact age. In elementary school, where I'm from, only goes up to 4th grade. And I don't remember being in 4th grade when I did this. So maybe 9, 8 years old, something like that. So I would do the playing cards. And then, get scared because I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to hell for doing this. So repented, got rid of my playing cards and my runes, and that was the end of that. A few years later, I was in middle school, probably in about 6th grade, I think I was. So I was probably 12 or 11 years old at the time. That was my first introduction to Wicca. I had a friend, and he had internet. I didn't have internet at the time. This is back in the day. Well, it was late 90s, but still, you didn't have to have the internet at that point in time. People, when you did research, you took your ass to the library still. Um, internet wasn't a big thing like it was right now. So I didn't have internet at the time, and he did. So he printed out like a thick booklet of information on Wicca. It's philosophies and spells and all types of stuff on Wicca. And I'm like, I know he got in trouble with his mom to print it out. All these pages. I mean, it was a book he printed out on Wicca, and so that was my first introduction to that and to witchcraft. And I tried practicing the spells, of course. I was a child, so I had a child's mentality. Oh, well, it didn't work automatically. So I didn't understand how magic works. Some of y'all still got a child mentality. I'm going to just go ahead and call a spade and tell it like it is. And think it's something that's supposed to bippity boppity boop and poof, your life has changed just because you lit one candle. That's not how this works. And so, I didn't know. So I'm like, this shit doesn't work. And and eventually too got scared because it's like, oh, it's witchcraft, I really shouldn't be doing this, and repented, got rid of all of my little stuff. And because at that time I had a book of shadows. I still have that book though. I ripped out all of the pages. I wish I hadn't, but I ripped out all of the pages. I still have that book. It's an orange book, an orange journal, hardback journal with the like 1 inch wrapped around the spine, if you will, and on the cover and the back was purple, and it had purple butterflies and all of that. So that really called to me at the book fair, the Scholastic Book Fair. And I picked that up because it looked, witchy to me, to my little 11, 12-year-old eyes, because what's butterflies and, orange. And I was learning about color magic, if I'm not mistaken, at that time, too. So it was like orange and purple. Those are powerful colors. So I picked that book. And then it had the butterflies. So I'm like, that's nature. So that was my book of shadows. I still got that journal somewhere. Just half of the pages are gone because I ripped them out. So yeah, ended up repenting, and that was the end of that until I became an adult. Now I do want to say, in the background, when I think about it, think back on it, my first introduction to anything of an occult nature, witchcraft, folk magic of that nature was hoodoo. Now it wasn't called hoodoo. I don't know who came up with this, but nobody I know calls it hoodoo. Is roots, root work, root doctor. That's what I've always known it to be. And most folks I know say the same thing. I don't know where this damn word hoodoo came from. Some some theories, it was invented for the internet age or some shit. My theory is that it was invented to differentiate between it as a folk magical system and voodoo as a religion. Um, but nobody calls it fucking hoodoo. It's roots. Um, First time I ever heard that word was in the Skeleton Key. But my first introduction to anything, like I said, of that nature was roots. I'm sure that's probably the experience of anybody in the South. And if you are from the South, please let me know, black or white. I do want to know, do white folks have stories of root work like we do? Or is it just, you know, a Southern African American thing? Because it's always whispered about. Everybody knows, don't let anybody use your brush. You just taught these things as a child. So don't let anybody use your comb and your brush. If you get your hair cut at the salon, pick your hair up and take it with you. Burn your hair if you cut your hair so nobody can go in the trash can and get it. These are just things that I was taught as a child. One, so nobody can get your hair, and two, there's this, I guess, what would you call it? Would you call it an old wives' tale? That if the birds get your hair, um, they'll give you a headache. I was told that too. Um, of course, you are told about as a boy, but you hear the stories as a woman as well, as a girl, to not, when you're first dating a woman, don't eat, spaghetti or anything with red sauce because a period could be in it. Um, Now, how the women, now that's what the boys are taught. Now, what I was taught was, or told, how I was introduced to that particular type of hoodooing somebody, laying a trick on somebody, if you will, putting roots on them, was I had a woman pointed out to me, that woman right there did that to this man right here, and that's why he can't leave her, because she mean as a snake, cheat on him left and right, but he will not leave her for nothing in the world. All their children are grown, she won't leave. And that was the rumor, that she did that to him and he can't leave. And I couldn't understand. What the fuck you mean he can't leave? He got a car. He get in his car and leave. He don't want to. If he don't want to be with this woman, he'll leave. He obviously wants to be with her, which I mean. So that was my one of my first introductions to it. And I'm trying to think of anything else. Hold on, y'all. Sorry about that. I had to get that out. Trying to think. So, another story I have heard. So that was my introduction. My first introduction, like I said, to anything was roots, and it was just stories about things that had happened to people. Like one of my mother's, yes, one of my mother's ex-husband's brother had roots put on him to where, like, he was barking like a dog. He couldn't walk. He had to crawl. And they took him down to Carolina because Virginia doesn't have the reputation that these other places have. Maybe it did at one point, but it really doesn't have that reputation anymore, if it ever did. You'll definitely hear the story. Somebody went to the Carolinas. Somebody went to Georgia, something like that. Mostly the Carolinas, I've heard, to go to the root doctors down there, and they took this man down to the root doctor because they took him to all of the regular doctors and they couldn't find anything wrong with him and couldn't help him. So they took him down to a root doctor, and he was walking and talking again like nothing had happened. Another story I'd heard, and it was told to me in a strange way, and now I know. It could have been explained a little bit better, but now I know what they're talking about. It's a thing called live things in you. If you've seen The Perfection on Netflix, that's like having live things in you. Well, I don't think I'll be giving anything away that isn't in the trailer already. Where you saw, it looked like bugs were crawling underneath her skin, and she vomited spiders or some bugs or something like that. Those are symptoms of live things in you, which is a curse in hoodoo. And one of the ways you can inflict it upon someone, and this isn't the full ritual now, but you feed someone reptile eggs or something of that nature. So I remember my mother telling me, I think it was a woman that she worked with, her own sisters or sister-in-law, somebody in her family didn't like her to the point that they fed her snake eggs, and she had live things in her. Now what happened to her, I don't know, because it can kill you. So those are my little stories about that. And that also, like I said, looking back, was my first introduction to anything like that, those stories. And then later at 9, it was the divination, and then around 11 or 12, the Wicca, and then onward to being an adult. So I was either, 18, 19 years old, probably 19, when the foundation, rather, for my interest to be piqued again was laid, because I don't think I started studying hoodoo at that point, but I can't really remember. It's been a long time. I do know around 19 years old, I started studying symbolism and the occult and Illuminati, and first started learning about that. I was still a Christian at the time, but I started learning about that, and that's what eventually changed my view of Christianity, learning about the pagan origins of all of these things. And I used to go to websites like blowthetrumpet.org, and I believe it's RCG.org, the Restored Church of God.org, if I'm not mistaken. Nice articles up there on their website. Same thing on blowthetrumpet.org, breaking down the pagan origins. So that's where I was at that point in time, researching about that. Vigilant Citizen was a channel, not a channel. It wasn't a YouTube channel at that point, I don't believe. It was just a blog, which I enjoy better than their YouTube channel. And I was starting to learn about that, and satanic ritual abuse, and Fritz Springmeier, and all of that, had started reading his book, and I didn't finish that book. Listen, truth is stranger than fiction, and it's more fucked up too. So I was learning about all of that, and so I was starting to change my practice as a Christian. My practices began looking very Jewish to anyone on the outside looking in. Like, I would observe the Sabbath and all these things, and I would do the Feast of Unleavened Bread and all of those things. And I didn't celebrate birthdays and Christmas and any of that stuff. I was washing folks' feet and very fundamentalist in my way. That's what I called it. I don't really know what fundamentalist Christianity looks like, in its Webster dictionary form. But I called that fundamentalist because I was trying to strip away all of the bullshit that had been thrown upon it that corrupted it, in my opinion. I was trying to get to pure Christianity, basically. I was trying to get to what Jesus and them practice. So yeah, that was, late teens, very early 20s, about 19 or so years old. Because it all started with a Rihanna song, Umbrella, where it says the line, "You'll be part of my entity, here for infinity." So wait a minute, an entity is not a person, so this isn't a love song. What the hell is this song really about? And so I'm searching through the YouTube comments. I don't know what I'm looking for, but I'm just searching. And somebody said, Google Rihanna's rape. What? Rihanna was raped. I Google it, and Lennon Honor, and he's still on YouTube. His channel pops up and he breaks down Umbrella. So it all started from there. Then I found Vigilant Citizen, all of that. And my practice as a Christian changed, and I was over the hypocrisy and the bullshit. So I didn't go to church unless, somebody died or there was a wedding. None of my children are baptized. Only one of them got christened, my oldest. By then, I was done. I was doing my own thing. So, let's see. And within that, 19 and maybe a few years after that, I came across Lucky Mojo's website, and that's when I started studying hoodoo, and I was just fascinated by it. And I would just study, but I felt funny. I was still a Christian, but I felt funny when I was studying, and I felt at home in it because I felt like, this is what my people did when they got here, and I just studied it. I didn't practice it. I studied for years. You know how they tell you study for a year and a day? Before you start calling yourself something? No, ma'am. No, I studied for years before I ever lit a candle. Because you're forever a student. It's too much for you to master in its entirety. You might master parts. Maybe. But it's a lot to this. It's levels to this shit. Um, so yeah, I started studying hoodoo at that time, but I still identified as Christian. It wasn't until 2013 that I said, no, I've learned too much. Because I had an epiphany. I'm like, what does all of this mean? You know, how do I come out of Babylon and everything Babylon? The days of the week, the months. What am I supposed to do? Create my own months and days? Like, what am I supposed to do? And I had an epiphany that this isn't the end all be all. Feel free to study whatever resonates with you and find the truth. Look for the truth no matter what. Don't worry about what's right or wrong according to this system right here. Just study, just find the truth. And so that's what I did. And by then though, I'm trying to think. I can't remember whether I don't think I came across Bobby Hemming at that point. But around 2013, maybe 2012, probably 2013 is when I came across Bobby Hemming. First, Phil Valentine, Bobby Hemming, Brother Penning, Dr. Eileen L. Bay, excellent lecturer right there. They all are. And I love Bobby Hemming and Brother Penning. Bobby Hemming, especially, gonna give you scholarships. One lecture, you're gonna get 20, 30 books. It's not hard. More books than you can ever read in a lifetime. That's what I enjoy, scholarship. Back your shit up. Who told you this? So, hope I'm straight. I can't see nothing. Well, I got bugs up my nose or nothing, child. But, such as being a human, right? So you'll forgive me if there's anything going on unsavory. So yeah, Bobby Hemming and all of them. And I was just taking a chance. I'm like, I'm gonna just research this shit now. Let's see what there is to see. Going in directions that previously I was forbade or uncomfortable with. So that's when I started researching demons, came across E.A. Cowedding, came across, I still haven't read the Satanic Bible, but the tenets of Satanism. Let me just go on over here and see what these folks talking about. And I didn't see nothing crazy. I said, so let's see if it's going to be the same thing with demons. And it wasn't that scary. Learning about it, let's put it that way. It's one thing to read about it, it's another thing to conjure one now. Which I have not done formally anyway. So 2013, no longer considered myself a Christian. I just called myself, a mystic or a spiritual. I really didn't have a title. I'm like, I don't think I need one. So, and at that point, started studying everything. Went back to Lucky Mojo and started practicing. Here and there. I studied probably 98% of the time, and I might have practiced 2%. I practice more now. I still study a lot. And yeah, here we are today. Many articles and web pages and books later. And today I am an eclectic witch, is what I identify as. Or occultist, alchemist. If you got to put a label on what I am. At the end of the day, I'm just me. So that's my story. No, I was long-winded, but I think y'all will enjoy, or did enjoy, those of you who stayed to the end, the little stories and stuff. about how it is growing up in the South and learning about roots. So that's it, you guys. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. We almost at 200, y'all. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. Be sure to click that notification bell. For those of you who are already subscribed and have been supporting me thus far, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.